it reaches a lot of different issues. It's about the planet. It's about the nuclear, energy. It's about the, economics. It's about homelessness. It's about poverty. It's about a thousand different things that affects us. And there's a thousand different kind of people that's invested in it at this point. I think it'll grow, and I think it will eventually grow and change because it's not going to stay. Obviously, the powers that be will not let it continue to build camps and centers and so on. So it's not going to stay in this form. It's in this form now as it's coming out, but it's going to change. It's going to be forced to change. And even as we talk, it's changing now, right? But I think that, there are people, when you look at the demographics, there are people of color involved in the process, and I don't know to the degree that they have a voice at this point, but they need to probably engage and develop a voice because no matter what the problem is in terms of economics, in terms of the ruling class, in terms of who's controlling resources, because that's what this is about. Who's going to control the means of production? Who's going to control the resources on the planet? Who's going to protect the planet for future generations? Pretty much that's the issues, the main issues. But once those issues are addressed, and which is not going to be an easy task because nobody gives up whatever it is that they have willingly. Once those issues are addressed, we're still going to have the issue of white supremacy. We're still going to have the issue of racial disparity. We're still going to have the issue of educational divide, even though that's going to probably be less of an issue. There's still going to be that whole thing of how to distribute the resources and who's got a say so in it. And that's a whole nother fight. I mean, that's a fight they're having still today, 60 years later in Cuba. It's a fight that's not gonna be resolved because when you talk about attitudes and you talk about historical, ideological perspectives of how you see yourself, how you identify yourself, and so on. That's a lot of that's ingrained. A lot of it's what they call racial collective consciousness and so on. So we're gonna have to struggle past all of that stuff, and we're gonna have to deal with that stuff. But that's something that has to be dealt with after we figure out who can control the resources and who can control the means of production. Because until we do that, we can't fix the other stuff. Because the people that control the means of production and the resources have the apparatus to continue to divide and conquer us. And that is the way in which they have been ruling for the past couple millenniums. And, we can, each one teach one, we can educate and we can do this and we can do that. But the fact is we can't compete with the apparatus that will make people consumers by the tens of thousands. We can say, well, okay, this is the Black Friday thing is a consumer, holiday that they're using to promote the stuff that they want to promote in terms of capitalism and materials and so on. And we can teach people one by one, but then they can have, a massive campaign across the whole nation with the corporate media, etc., and turn out, hundreds of thousands of baby consumers that's going to be caught up into Black Friday, So if we don't change that apparatus, that machine, then we can't change some of the other stuff that that's primarily people of color and people of consciousness that are saying, okay, this is not right, something's wrong here, we need to deal with this. But in both of those Americas, there's always that kind of psychological thing that says, well, maybe I might be okay, I might make it, I might get that job, I might hit the lottery, I might make it rich, I might be, So it's always that the dream is still there for a lot of people, even though it's turned into a nightmare for a lot of people. So we have to deal with that first. I think we have to deal with that and then see how we can rearrange the resources so that we can deal with the problems that we're faced with. And a lot of the problems that we're faced with are propaganda problems. Just take, for instance, like there's 7 billion people on the planet. If you took those 7 billion people and stood them shoulder to shoulder, you could fit all of them in Los Angeles. That is like the sum amount of people on this planet will fit in Los Angeles. And so they say, well, there's no food, or the planet's overcrowded. Well, obviously that's not true, but they drumbeat this theme in people's head, and people think that. They think that there's no food. The food is here. They are destroying it, or they're throwing it away, or they're hoarding it, or they're instead of using the land in the. No, I'm gonna be finished in 5 minutes. Yeah, I'm being finished. Okay. Look, instead of growing food, say in Ethiopia, they're growing cola beans for hot chocolate in the Netherlands instead of the food that they need, say for instance. So it's a matter of who's controlling and owning the resources, and once we figure that out, we can do that. You get a place like Australia that's 80% the size of continental United States of America, and there is 22 million people on the whole entire continent. So I mean, it's not a case of no room or no space, no resources, or none of that stuff. It's a case of propaganda, and that's the stuff that we need to work on. And once we gain control of that apparatus, then we can then start addressing those other things. Well, I would say one thing is to get involved in whatever you see in your community that you can get involved with. Continue to study, continue to learn, continue to do whatever it is you're doing, but take some time, get involved, try to see if you can help make some changes. Don't fall for the political apparatus, Democrat, Republican, or that kind of stuff, because it's all owned by the powers that be at this point. It's important to realize that you need to change the arrangement on the planet in order to save the planet, because at this point the planet is under threat. The populations are under threat, and it's about profit. It's not about anything that really is a necessity to threaten the planet or the population. It's about exploitation, and it's about profit, and we need to change that, and we need to be about the humans, and we need to be about the planet. So get involved on whatever level you can, and give whatever kind of time you can.